Hello, hello, hello. Oof. Gotta pause all that. We're here 15 minutes early, guys. 15 minutes early. You remember that from the military. 15 minutes prior. So I just want to get everything all up and running. We won't start anything too hot and heavy until 15 minutes from now, because that's whenever I said I would start. But um, I think I've answered all the questions in the chat so far. Let me see here. Hold on. All right. That's why I could hear myself in my other stream. I'm trying 2 screens at this point in time just to see if I can manage stuff. But yeah. The commercial breaks are. That's funny. Oh gosh. So how is everyone tonight? I have to say thank you all for, spending, taking time out of your busy Saturday night to spend it with me, little old me. I appreciate it. So let's start it. I'm glad to hear that, Robert. I'm glad to hear that. All right, Jason Blacken submitted a new claim and supplemental at the same time. Will the VSR work these 2 claims together? This is a very good question. Potentially and potentially not, because those 2 claims might not be assigned to the same regional office because they don't have to be. So you could have 2 different raters or 2 different VSRs at 2 different locations. Yeah, early again, YTU, 15 minutes prior. Probably means they'll end 30 minutes later, too, just because. Oh, man. Let's see here. Would a supplemental claim possibly open up other claims that have nothing to do with the supplemental claim? Yeah, I mean, potentially, depending on the circumstances, not typically. They don't typically do it because the rater likes to stay within the scope of the claim that they're doing. But if there's evidence and you're claiming something secondary and you say some weird words, yep, it could be a thing. So, want to start? Well, actually, we're a little early for that, aren't we? Yeah, we're a little early. So we'll just do a little Q&A before I want to start. My VSO told me there is a narrative out there that will be rated for my disability. Is anything like that true? Can they see that I could be rated or my specific proposed rating before they actually do? PL, this one hurts me a little bit. If I'm picking up what you're putting down here. So the VSOs can typically see behind the curtain. They can see in VBMS, the same program that the VSRs and the raters use. So they can see in there. They can see into VBMS core. That's as far as they can go. They can't go into VBMS R or VBMS A, but they can see generally the traffic. They can see the notes. They can see all that kind of stuff. So they can see it before you'll see it, but they can't predict the future. That crystal ball's on layaway currently, and there ain't no way for them to have that. So, what is the nuance of a TERA CMP versus a regular CMP exam? Greg, that is a fantastic question. That comes down to simply the medical opinion. There is no separate. I should use this correctly. For TERA, if you're specifically talking about TERA, then you're gonna kill me, McNasty. I've already done one on SMC. I think the last live stream was on SMC. But the subtle nuances comes down to the medical opinion, and the medical opinion will not be something that you're subject to. It happens after the examination's done and they've collected all their evidence. The CMP exam is the DBQ. That's the filling out of the DBQ. And then they have a subsequent period of time where they do a medical opinion if that is required. Like if you're doing an increase, they wouldn't need to do one, obviously. But the subtle nuance is how they approach it. So the element 2, the in-service event, rather than being like an injury, like you sprained your knee, it'll be a list of chemicals that the VA has conceded that you've been exposed to. And then they'll try to provide a rationale as to why they believe it is at least likely as not, or less likely than not, caused by, the chemicals that you were exposed to. So I hope that answers that question. Rudy, got 10% yesterday for a total of 80. Have 3 claims left that may get me to a hundo. Awesome. Cool beans, Rudy. Hunter Evans, thanks for everything you do. Quick question. If I have been diagnosed with melanoma and deployed to Kuwait in the past, could I file that as a presumptive? Typically, I don't have that in front of me. It might fall under the skin conditions. So maybe. It probably would get reviewed under TERA, to be quite honest with you. Rather, maybe not presumptive skins. I don't have that open right now, so I might have to circle back on that one. PL, and thank you for all you do. Travis, during informal conferences, Dro told me to not claim migraines secondary to rhinitis as they are an assumed symptom. That's sinusitis. So Travis, that's actually sinusitis, and that's not accurate because headaches are a part of sinusitis. Migraines can be separately rated. So migraines under 8100 can be separately granted. Headaches, the symptom, can be part of the sinusitis 50% criteria. So, well, not just the 50%, if I'm being honest with you. Let me go to sinusitis. I was going to look it up. All right, sinusitis. So yeah, the headaches is part of the 10, 30, and 50. So just wanted to check that. And I'm not too bashful to say that I, for the sake of complacency, always check. Double check. Lonnie, when claiming conditions secondary to, if the examiners do not address aggravation, nor does the decision, is that solid grounds for a higher level review? Okay. You have to be careful. Hold on. You have to be very careful using the terminology of aggravation. Okay? Because in the rating community, right? In the rating community, aggravation means 38 CFR 3.306. Secondary, which is a form of aggravation, is 38 CFR 3.310. If you start using the words aggravation, you will confuse the rater in what you think, like how you're claiming your claim. Okay. So what you would need to look for to see if the secondary condition, if the secondary theory was applied to your rating decision, is you would need to show or see in the rating decision that 38 CFR 3.306 was cited. If it's cited in there, then they actually reviewed for it. And based upon short form narratives, the rule, you guys watch the videos about short form narratives. The rater doesn't have to provide all the evidence. The rater doesn't have to provide anything other than the elements, one of the theories, and as long as there's a favorable finding in there that says that, hey, your primary condition of so-and-so was in there, and they cite 38 CFR 3.306, 3.310 for the secondary, then they have actually satisfied all the requirements for the DRO. So there's no higher level review there if they've done that. Hope that helps. Okay. And I got to turn that other thing off. Nope. Turn it off. Turn you off. And then go up here. And while we're here, let's go. Damien, awesome for joining. GD, okay, Galagos, $2. Appreciate it. Thank you, my dude. And W.E. Wilson, thank you for your support. What would be a proper way to submit a MUCMI? Personal statement. Okay, so MUCMI personal statements are the opposite of everything you've ever been taught. So you need to, on a successful MUCMI, you would need to show that you have had symptoms and that there is no known cause. So normally, your normal reaction is to say, well, A caused B. In a MUCMI situation, you just be like, I have no clue what's going on. I've had migraines. I haven't hit my head. Nothing's changed. I'm not on any new medications. I don't know what's going on. It's been going on for the last year, and nothing. There's no correlation. There's no rationale for it. I have no factual, like, I can't even think of anything. I haven't skipped it yet. I'll come to it. I promise I'll come to it. But that's it. See, I have this section here where it says starred comments, and it takes all of the like monetary stuff and it separates them out. So I just every once in a while go over here and just walk down that, and then I'll walk back over and go back to the main questions, which is a pain. But yeah, sorry about that. Not skipping anyone's questions on purpose if I am. All right. Ernesto. Raider, can several respiratory disabilities caused by TERA be stacked for 100%? No. That is a hard no. That, yes, Bebop, that is true. Those are synonyms for each other. Gulf War syndrome's like an older version of it, but yeah, the MUCMI is the theory of service connection for Gulf War syndrome. Yes. So this would be pyramiding, Ernesto. This would be hardcore pyramiding. Several respiratory disabilities, for the most part. Now, there are exceptions to this, like sinusitis and rhinitis are respiratory conditions, but they can be separately granted. But if you had like COPD, asthma, and bronchitis, all three of those are going to be lumped together. Okay. Just keep that in mind. Okay. Don't know what to do with that. Peloso Riviera. I know it will probably bring up a fraud alert. Okay. All right. Oh man, buddy. Okay. Oof. Okay. You got me here. You've already like, what are we in? We're less than 15 minutes in, and we're already to the rant section. Oh my gosh. What kind of fraud alert is using a doctor to write a Nexus letter? It won't bring up a fraud alert. What it'll do is it will be a sufficiency assessment. So, like the private DBQ and medical opinion, like when you guys say Nexus letter, what you mean on my side of the fence is medical opinion. You're going to do a private medical opinion that by a doctor that's not a CMP examiner. It's not going to like. It doesn't necessarily bring up a fraud alert, but some people see fraud in private DBQs and private Nexus, private medical opinions. But they're not inherently bad as long as you pad them with evidence, as long as the person doing the medical opinion, as long as they actually, reference your medical evidence and they actually review your records and they cite them and they interweave that stuff, all of your evidence, into their description, and they provide a solid rationale for how they get to what I believe is the 51%, and that's just my opinion, right? That they've made a decision that they are confident that your condition was caused by whatever they're alluding to in their record. So yeah, the fraud alert thing, the reason why I said that is because I've noticed some videos where some people are fear baiting people. And, it's like just for the clicks. They're like, if you do this, it will get you on a fraud alert. Okay, no, because even if your DBQ is like found to be insufficient, you don't go into the fraud alert type category. We have to send an email to OIG to put you in for a review for fraud. So there's a lot of people out there, a lot of content creators, a few of them at least, taking some liberties with this to fear click you just to scare you into clicking on them. But yeah, McNasty. SMCL aid in attendance rating requirements, if not 100% in one disability. Okay. I mean, you don't technically have to have 100% in a disability. There are some people that believe that, like, there's some rares that believe that you do. But I mean, yeah. Yeah, I think I've addressed that in a different video, but yeah. Cecilio? Neck pain secondary to back pain. Okay. Ooh, buddy. If you want to talk about the hardest thing I've ever seen anybody try to claim, you better you better have degenerative arthritis, the disease process one that spreads from one joint to another. That's the only way that I can see that being possible, right? Because they can't affect each other. If have an exam, they will only do the cervical, right? Like neck. No, I mean, well, it depends. It depends on how you're claiming the back pain. Like, you better have degenerative disc disease, the degenerative arthritis in some, or was it ankylosis of the spine due to it? I mean, something spondylosis that goes up or something. I mean, if you just have back pain, I don't know. It's gonna be an uphill battle. Do special teams do evidence gathering and rating? Special teams, no matter what, have their own evidence gathering and rating teams. Yes. So um, I was told my claim was with a special team, and that special team are specialists in processing it. Typically, the specialist part is either like I don't know how to say this. I guess I'll say I was on a Blue Water Navy specialist team at one point in time. Okay, that might dox me because there were only a few regional offices that had that. So, but I was on that, and what you would have is you'd have a special SOP that said, "Hey, for these specific claims, you need to gather the evidence this way. You need to make sure that you satisfy X, Y, and Z." And then the rating part of it, you would have, like they would be rated differently because either you were at a live Nemer site, or well, I'll also say I was on a Nemer team too, but um, yeah. So they do. They have their own evidence gathering and rating divisions. It's just a normal RO that gets special duties. Think about it like that. Think about at your job if you're assigned an additional duty. Um, that's what happens to ROs that get special projects is what they're called, National Work Queue special projects. And then they get funneled all those claims. So, but they still have all the same raters, all the same authorizers, all the same VSRs. But great question though, George. And actually, we're at a moment here. So, Deontay the vet, hold on just a second on your question. I'm gonna leave you right there. So, what I want to do is take some time right now, and I wanted to talk about the channel. Okay, and I wanted to talk about what I'm planning for the channel and how things are kind of going. Now we're almost up to 5K subscribers, right? Like you guys have been awesome. You've been spreading the word. The message has been put out there. It's yes, I know. I know. Thank them more. Thank you, Zoe. So I'm going to, just say that we're going to be doing another live stream for the 5K, which if it's close to the Saturday, I might just, do the Saturday live stream on the day that I get the 5K. But I also wanted to talk about sponsorships for the YouTube. Now, I have been approached by a couple of organizations for sponsorships, right? Partnerships. And I haven't talked to them yet, but I think just for the sake of the channel, I'm going to respectfully decline the partnerships. Now, the partnerships could be quite a bit of money, but with partnerships also comes quite a bit of um, bias potentially. And I think, and I'm not going to name the partners at this time, but the partnership things, because I want to be respectful. It's not them, it's me, right? Like, I want to keep the pureness of the channel, so I'm going to maintain the pureness of the channel. What do you guys think about that? What do the 122 of you that are currently watching think about that? Because I am, yeah, I don't want, I don't know what you would call it, but I want to not do stuff for money. Does that make sense, guys? Like, I don't want to. I want to be able to say what I want, how I want, without feeling beholden to somebody else. Okay, because I mean, it can be a lot of money, guys. Like, and I do, like, Armando, I do want to stay humble. I don't want to go now. Okay, now, and don't tread on us. I have a guilty pleasure, okay, in that I wouldn't mind partnering with, like, a veteran owned company that has nothing to do with claims processing, right? Like, well, okay, but see, Devil Dog, here's the thing. Some of this has to do with claims processing. And I have heard you guys loud and clear when it comes to this topic that you guys say, look, I'm not in it for the money. But what? No, no. I'm not in it for the money, but there's just a part of it where it's like, could this be sustainable? Like, I don't know. I just thought about it and I was like, wow, and there was a part of me that's like, oh, I'll entertain this. And then there was a part of me that's like, well, no, I put out in my mission statement that I'm not going to do that. But I wanted to talk to you guys. I wanted to tell you that I'm not going to I'm not going to take sponsorships or partnerships right now, because the partners that have approached me are related to the claims process, and that for me is a sticky situation. But I am going to say that if a veteran-owned company, and I love coffee, I'm just saying that, like, if ever a veteran-owned coffee company wanted to sponsor me, I would take that, and I don't care what you guys say. I don't care. I would take that in a heartbeat. Um, yeah, and that's what I'm thinking, you know, yeah, guys. So, um, I think I'm gonna do that in the future. So, oops. Um, but yeah, I think I just wanted to point it out to you guys because the channel is for you guys. Army Gen Mech, I'm not gonna say anything, but I would be thrilled. Um, but yeah, I like the purity of it. I'm not going, like, I don't want to poison the well. I want to give you guys straight answers without feeling beholden to anybody. Um, and I just want to do that. Okay. Like, I want to just keep it to where I feel like I can say what I say. I can feel like I can, be honest with you guys and upfront, and not have somebody over my shoulder going, wait a minute, you need to tell them this. And I'm like, that's not the way I work. So I think for now, I'm going to hold off, and then I will, let you guys know anytime that this goes well, but this is for you guys, right? Like, this channel, I originally did it for the VSRs and raiders that work at the VA, but because I'm transitioning out, I turned it over to, you guys getting, well, I know I can have sponsors, but I also have a mission statement. Impeach Obama. But I also have a mission statement. That's what I kind of said, is that I was going to do that. Okay. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about, was the sponsorships. I also wanted to talk about some of the videos that are going to potentially be coming out this coming week. IVDS is coming out this week. I'm going to be doing the deep dive into IVDS, the back condition, neck and or back intervertebral disc. I mean, I can speak on incontinence, but it wasn't what I was planning on this week, because I have to do one on MST. I've promised that one for a while now, and I think we're to the point where I have laid a strong enough foundation that I can address the MST this week in a video. And also, well, it'll be personal trauma and it will be MST. Yeah, US Navy, that's true. And that's going to be the thing. But I'm also want to, like, you guys are here because you don't want the, you know, clickbaity nonsense. So I'm also doing that. Maybe Arnold could take this. Sitting here taking the sponsorships. I want all the money. I'm into money. He's into money. I'm not into money. But yeah, so that's basically it for that. So those are the two videos I've decided upon that are slotted in for this week. Obviously, I'm doing a video a day, so there will be more videos. Do a rip at sponsorship. I don't know what that means, Bebop. All right, let's go ahead and just go through some of these. Appreciate you. Keep going. Chris McGee, does providing new and relevant evidence a supplemental appeal filed on a denied claim change the back? No, it doesn't. Doesn't change the back pay. What changes the effective date on that is whether or not you were diagnosed within the first claim before or within the first claim, and whether or not it was continuously pursued. And I know that some of you guys are saying that I should take the sponsorships type thing or the partnerships, and I'm going to choose not to. I'm going to stay. I'm going to go the pure route, guys. I'm going to do that. I'm going to keep going. But I do appreciate your both sides of this. Hi, Raider. Thank you for your tremendous difference you're making. Question, please. If I file a fully developed claim within 2 to 4 weeks of a standard claim, will they combine them? Okay. If any of these are a supplemental claim, the answer would be no. If they are not supplemental claims and they're just new claims or different claims, then the answer is yes. They will actually combine them together. Now, whenever I say combine them together, I mean that they will make it to where they're all part of one claim, but each one will have, like, each condition, depending on what claim they're on, will have different effective dates, different dates of claim. Yeah, James Lowe. Look, actually, James has got it right. That's what I want. Like, I'm pretty humble. I'm not planning on being a big deal in this community or anything like that. I'm trying to put out the information, 82nd Everborn, bad jumps and high winds, loss of feeling for 3 hours, documented, sent to bed rest 2 days. Rated at 20%, diagnosed with cervicalgia and had pins put in later. Reasonable to rate positively? Yeah. I mean, yeah, because it would be part of the event. What? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What happened? Hold on, guys. Okay. Sorry, one of my monitors just went down. Hold on. I can't wait for the day that you have live streams with special guest Doug Collins. Oof. I don't even know what to do with that. Like, I wouldn't even know what to do. I'd be like, sir, please, please don't hurt me. I said nice things. You're screwed. Thank you for all the support, guys. I appreciate it more than you know. And Down Dog 01 super sticker. Thank you. Appreciate it. If you had a question, I didn't catch it. But let's go back to it. Now, I was up here, and this is where it becomes hard every time I click over to there. I I got denied for multiple claims recently. Almost all my favorable findings say the disability is there, but can't service connect. I'm so depressed and lost, not sure what to do now. So for this one, what it sounds like the favorable findings are one of the most important things about your claim because it requires three elements to grant, and it doesn't matter um, what theory you're trying to apply because there are three elements for each theory. And so however many favorable findings you down there have down in your favorable findings section can help tell you what you're missing. If you have an in-service event, like if you're going for direct for all these things and you have an in-service event and you have a current diagnosis, then you got a bad doctor. Like you got, yeah, take a seat, Mr. Collins. Wow. Mr. Collins, I'm going to have you take a seat right now. Now I'm going to need you to not talk for a minute, Mr. Collins. Let me yell at you. No, I'm just joking. Um, but anyway, so what you would need to do on this is you would just need to get more evidence and have a different doctor have a different outcome. Okay. Like a different belief on it. If you could do that, um, then, it would be better. You'd have a higher likelihood of success. You could go with a different theory, but sometimes whenever you have an element three, that's whenever the doctor disagrees. They say, hey, look, I don't think that your in service event caused your current symptoms. That's just the difference of a different doctor. Now, what happens is if you have a doctor that says no and one that says yes, the tie goes to the veteran, right? As long as both sides of it are, the evidence is actually probative, right? You can't have somebody going, I think it's right, period. That's the end of it. That's a full medical opinion. That wouldn't be very persuasive. But if it's a very persuasive, like anytime that you're fighting something like this, you want to try to get a doctor or enough evidence that shows and supports more evidence than what the previous doctor used to deny you. I don't know if that makes sense, but you suggest attaching new evidence to 0995s, but what if that evidence is hundreds of pages? Then you ask for the VA to get it for you. If it's like a private doctor, you ask for them to get it for you. You do a VA Form 21-4142 and a VA Form 21-4142 Alpha or A, and then you kind of move on from there. Eddie Brown. Got service connection on migraine 0%. They mentioned about TERA memorandum. I need to get percentages. They agreed. I was exposed in the Navy. Am I? Okay, so all right, Eddie, you were granted it's 0%. The TERA portion of it, like once you become service connected, what you were exposed to doesn't matter anymore. None of that matters. The thing you need to focus on with migraines is prostration. Right? You need to go into the M21 manual and you need to look up prostration because you need to have prostrating migraines in order to get above 0%. And that appears to be the issue. Yeah. And then MPark had bad CMPs for multiple bilateral shoulder increase and range of motion was pencil whipped. Listed normal range of motion, but had several limited range of motion. Gonometer documented by VA PNT showing severe range of motion. Okay, MPark, I'm going to tell you for the shoulders, you can only lift, like if you put your arms by your side, actually, hold on, let me do this. If you can take your arms and you can raise them to shoulder level in any direction, you're 20%. That's it. Like that is it. I like what McNasty's got here. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you know anybody that you think that these videos could help out, direct them to the channel. I mean, I think the videos, are helpful. I like them. You know, you guys seem to like them. Share them with a friend. Claims settled in 2022. Mental health 50%. Went for an increase. They then sent me a PTSD stressor after my CMP form. Also, a CUNE was initiated by VA, not me. Why would that happen? Okay, wow. Number one, nothing good happened there. So, what can happen is they can actually say that you were misdiagnosed and that you should have been diagnosed under PTSD, which has a different set of criteria. And it could put you in jeopardy of being service connected for mental health. Because if they're saying that your original mental health diagnosis was inaccurate, then they're trying to give you PTSD to kind of, do that Raiders of the Lost Ark thing where he picks up the skull and puts the other thing in its place. They're trying to take PTSD and put it in the place of the skull of whatever mental health you had. So that way they don't have to sever you. So you need to come up and you need to really be focused on your evidence and figuring out, going to a VSO, figuring out what they got going on and what they're asking for. And you need to make sure that you're answering every single thing that they're doing, because this is not good. So let me go here to 450 and then let's go. Is arthritis a standalone claim or grouped with current rating for an increase? It would be grouped with a current rating for an increase. I asked this because they changed my 3 new arthritis to increases. I'm at 20% for one joint already and 10 and 0 for the other two. Yeah, they would just combine them. That's how that works. So they would just combine them for those joints, especially if they're post-traumatic arthritis, osteoarthritis. That's from an injury, so they wouldn't. It's not a disease process one. Just keep that in mind. Mr. Ray, always appreciate your comments, Mr. Ray. Raider, how does a veteran with a reenlistment in service but later gets an other than honorable prove the reenlistment to the VA asking for a friend? Okay. So the other than honorable isn't a direct bar to service. So it would depend on what happened during the other than honorable. Okay. If the other than honorable is proven, you can still get. So here's what can happen. They do if you have multiple periods of service, right? The good period would still be good. Any injuries that happen during the good period are fine. Any injuries that happen during the period of other than honorable, well, you'd have to have a character of discharge review. And that character of discharge review would have to actually go through, and you would have a VSR, a GS11 authorizer VSR type person, review all of the circumstances on how you got your other than honorable. And then based upon the current iteration of the M21 manual, they would deem whether or not you are eligible for full benefits to where you can get money and healthcare, to where you're chapter 17 eligible, which means that you're eligible for only healthcare during that period of time, or that you're dishonorable and it's a bar for service, at which point in time you get nothing. So you would need to, and they typically don't call you or anything like that. They just do the review based upon the evidence of record. So yeah, that's that. And then, oh my gosh, Roger, $50. No, I'll wait and pay you the same 20%. You will have both a claim assistant and contract schooling for VA. You can figure it out. We need you on both ends. Oh wow. But thank you, Roger. I appreciate it. I am planning in probably a year, as long as it'll take. I'm trying to become an accredited claims agent. Um, after everything goes through and whatnot. I would keep it separate from the channel because I wouldn't, burden you guys with I have a book for that or whatever, but I would definitely, you know, and when that happens, right, whenever I do become an accredited claims agent, I would only take certain claims. So I would take MST claims, things like that. I would take very critical, um, very hard, very challenging, very, very like you're at the end of your rope because nobody else can. Yeah, and I like the donations. I appreciate them, more than you guys know. Like you don't have to do them, but I appreciate them. But yeah, I'm just being honest with you guys. I'm being upfront with you that that's my plan is to, go to the accredited claims agent route and then just take what I would consider the most challenging claims humanly possible and really make me earn whatever percentage that, and I wouldn't charge 20% when that happened. That wouldn't be the thing. So I just want to, ooh, I don't know about that. Let me keep going here. All right, Marcella, I know this is probably something that requires its own video, but what do you consider a good general layout for a personal statement? Marcella, I already put that out. I kind of wrote those up. It's in the buddy statement slash other statements. If you want to take a look, um, reach out to me separately, Marcella. You know how. And I can talk to you about that. All right. I'm just going through these real quick and then I'll go to the normal questions. How does a VA determine coastal waters in AO PACT Act? This is fun because we actually have a nautical team. This is a great question, Shattered Dreams. We actually have a nautical team and they have this, they get all the deck logs and they have this computer program that actually tracks where the boat was historically. And then there's a certain I'm kind of nerding out on this and I'm sorry, but there's this uh, there'll be a map that gets uploaded into your claim that shows everywhere that your boat was during a qualifying period for like AO exposure. um so yeah, it's called a nautical review, and the VSRs have to, there's like specialist VSRs that do those reviews. And so what'll happen is the VSR will put on special like um, special issues and special tracked items, and they'll go into a SharePoint site and they'll put your claim on that SharePoint site to have them do that nautical review through that nautical program that the I think it's the DoD, don't quote me on that, but that they have that, and it prints out this really cool thing that shows it to you. And if you get one single dot in a qualifying location or area off the coastal waters, then you get service, then it's granted. It's just conceded, right? Like it's your element 2 for being exposed to Agent Orange off the coastal waters gets conceded. Um, the burden of proof would be that you had nautical service, Shatter. So, like you would say, "Hey, look, I served on the USS so and so within this period of time," and then that information will give them all that they need to know to, send that to the proper review team. And then one last one here: they lump his period of service into one. Ooh, that's bad. By the time the stuff hit the fan, the initial enlist. When did this happen, Mr. Ray? You know what, Mr. Ray, send me an email. Shoot me an email and tell me when this happened, because we've had it to where within the last year, since 2024, anybody that files a new claim and they had a previous other than honorable discharge, they get a new review based upon how the manuals changed for the character of discharge, what's good, what's bad. So that person that you're talking about, they could get a new review in which they have a better outcome. But yeah, let me know. 540, 440. Thanks for okay. I might have missed somebody, but I'm sorry. We're moving on. Can a diagnosis come from a general Gulf War exam? Yes. Yes, that is something there. A general Gulf War exam just means, hey, examiner, use whatever discretion you want on the DBQs to kind of like as you diagnose it, just use the DBQ you need to do. Yeah, Mr. Ray, then they can get, like, if they filed a new claim and they haven't filed one since 2024, they would automatically get a new character discharge review. Okay. So that's a new thing. So just keep that in mind. Oof. Would MUCMIs be perceived to have more value due to the lay statement? Yes, lay statements with MUCMIs matter more, um, because it's so subjective. It's an unknown illness that you just have that nobody can explain, right? Because if they could explain it, then it wouldn't be a MUCMI. And they usually explain it by diagnostic imaging, by lab results, by stuff like that. So your word and your testimony and your buddy statements and your lay statements for the MUCMI theory only carry a lot more weight. Okay. But keep in mind, thank you, Donald. Um, Now let's go on. James Lowe, thank you for answering my questions online and in email. You're welcome. And guys, I need to say this. How do I say this? I have disabilities in my hands. So my typing, I can only type so much. The emails are hard for me. So I'm trying to get to them as soon as I can. If I haven't gotten to your email yet, it's not because I don't want to. And it's not because I don't care. And it's not because I'm just, lazy or whatever, but I can only type so much. So I only have so much in me, I guess. So please just keep that in mind. Some exercise patience and understanding, please, if you can. Okay. As to why I'm not getting back to the emails. I have 160 that I'm currently pending. I've done 160 so far. So, please don't beat me up too much. Okay. Thank you. Greetings. I would guess some of your coworker. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes and no. Jeff, hey Raider, you may have covered this before, but would fibromyalgia and chronic? No, they would not. They would not be pyramiding. No, they can be separately rated. Now, what can be pyramiding is some of the symptoms, right? Like some of the symptoms might not be able to be attributed to one where it can be attributed to the other, but they themselves are not pyramiding. If I'm changing theories, IBS direct connection denied, now claiming it's secondary to mental health, is that put on? Yeah, it would be put on a supplemental claim, and you would have to say the term new nexus. So you would have to say new nexus, so that way they can see that you're changing the theory. So it would be IBS secondary to mental health, parentheses, new nexus. And that would be easier. Why would an MST claim be removed from a decision? I don't know. If it was previously denied, disrobed. If it was previously denied and you didn't file it on a supplemental claim, then it would be removed. Please do a video on IVDS. Yes, Baroness. You probably saw that I was talking. These questions take me a while to get to. So yes, this week I will be talking about IVDS. I can also do a video on flat feet. It'll be a quick video. How many people are filing? Yeah, no joke. MUCMIs are weird. No, Jess. No, MUCMIs can be filed as many times as you want them to be. No, there's no statute of limitations on what typically happens though with a MUCMI. What typically happens is that you would have you do a MUCMI, and then the examiner has to report. Like if they say no to you, then they have to tell you what caused it, right? Because MUCMIs have to have no known cause. So if the examiner still can't figure out what the cause is, but they go, yeah, I just don't think it's due to the chemicals, but yeah, I don't know what's causing it. Then if you add new chemicals to your exposure list, you could go at a MUCMI again. So I don't know why it was removed, disrobe. That would be, I might do a higher level review on that and ask them. Like that would be that's very suspicious to me, why they're removing that on an initial claim, because there is no rationale for that. There's no process for it, I should say. Uh, nerve damage in my feet. Don't have full range of motion in my toes. Can this be an SMCK? It cannot be an SMCK itself. You would have to have loss of use to the point that you qualify for loss of use, medically loss of use. Like, it is no different than having a prosthetic on your attached to your ankle type situation. Um, and I'll get to the starred comments here in just a minute. I'm just trying to get down the questions. I'm answering questions from 4:56 and we're at 5:35. I can never get these through. Have you ever seen a claim for PTSD from a veteran claiming anger issues from going through compensation? That would be a cheeky one right there. No, I've never seen that. Um, I have never seen that before because that would be like an 1151 claim, like where the VA itself caused a disability. That's a theory for service connection where they, like let's say they cut off the wrong leg. That's an 1151 claim. I would be interested to see if somebody was so sideways, right? Like so frustrated that they went with an 1151 claim for, I wouldn't say PTSD, right? Because that wouldn't meet the threshold for PTSD. But if they said that they got anger and depression from the process, I mean, that might be interesting. Now they might say, well, it wasn't done by the VHA, but I would be interested to see if somebody could get that done. And for a fact, and I'm going to point that all of you, all 160 of you on this thing, that if somebody had actually got that granted, do you know what the flood of claims would look like? Do you fully understand if somebody could get that granted? Do you know what the E4 mafia would do? They would put that out so quick that the VBA would clamp down on that in a heartbeat. Like, you would have to have um I get the fact that they didn't deny it disrobed, but the fact that they removed it is inappropriate is what I'm saying. But I would be interested because it would be like the gold rush at that point in time. Like, if you could file an 1151 against the VBA for the claims process causing you depression and anxiety, that is a thought experiment right there. I don't even know. VERA can help, Roger. They can help. They can also hurt. I mean, but they can help. So let's see here. Let's go with, and after this one, man, you skipped my question. Ernesto. I don't think I did. No, I didn't. This was from earlier. Okay, but Ernesto at 4:56. So, received a claim back, continued on the back, increase on the radiculopathy, 20% right leg, deferred left leg. Is this a bad sign for the left leg? No, it's not necessarily a bad sign, right? Because you're 10% right now. So what that means is something about the DBQ wasn't sufficient. They might not have done the strength test on it, whatever. So yeah, it could be anything. Donald Cunningham, no question, just thanks. Well, thank you, Donald. I appreciate this. And I appreciate everything that you guys are doing on here for your donations. I do appreciate it. It keeps the doors open. And I already answered this one. It's probably because you got a new VSR that didn't know what the heck they were doing. And that is more often than you can count. Jeff Russell, thank you. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We got a woofer. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. Nope. Stop it. And then we got W.E. Wilson. Missed my second deployment in records. Workups there. However, have medical visits aboard ship during cruise. The cruise book photos. Would it be wise to submit this as proof of me being on board? Yes. I mean, well, photos don't really do anything. Like, see, this is the problem with photos, right, guys? And you guys are going to probably kill me for the photos thing. Don't kill the messenger on this one. Photos are hard to corroborate. I don't know what you look like back then. I have no way to certify that that's you. I have no way to certify of when that photo was taken. I have no way to certify where that photo was taken. So no, the photos themselves wouldn't be probative in nature, but what you can do is if you can figure out the dates and the times in which you were on that ship, they can do a records research request through, what is it called? MRRC, which is like asking the military to confirm in their records that you were there. The way that records used to be before I want to say 80 even, 1990, let's say 1990. The records before 1990 often carried some of the military's records in there. So you would have circumstances where you'd have like a platoon list where everyone in the platoon was on there. Records switched to where they were in 1990 to where they were just about you. E4 Mafia. I'm just saying the veteran mafia is worse than the E4 Mafia. But anyway, so the records that are held after 1990 are just about you. So your personnel file is just about you. So what happens is we would potentially ask, and this counts for records before 1990 also, because you can have a PCMS or TDY orders or something like that. We would ask MRC to review and certify whether or not you were on the ship. You would just you would just name the ship that you were on, and then they would review for that. And then are private DBQs that get invalidated for a small issue permanently burned? Yes. Actually, I know they shouldn't be burning them, but they are. Tyrell, so yes, they're burned. Unless a rater unburns them in the same claim. What happens is you have to figure out why they were burned. Like that's the major thing. I know it's a very challenging topic, and I do not like it either. Sorry, my neighbor kids are outside doing stuff, and it's got my dogs just going nuts. But so basically, yes, what you would need to do in order to kind of resurrect that DBQ is have them correct what's wrong with it and then put a new date on it. And then that would be you saying, hey, and then submit something with it saying, hey, look, I've satisfied, the reason why they said it was invalidated beforehand, and I've had them update that. And here's the new updated thing. So it should be sufficient. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. And nope. Hold on. Sorry. So I got the bark thing up is because that can go just nuts. Yeah, woof, woof, woof. Hold on. Sorry. All right, now we're moving down here to some questions. I might have missed yours, and I'm sorry. Sorry I'm late. Rated at 90, but it's 94%. How hard is it to make it to that 95% to 100? All you have to do is get to 95. Once you're at 95, they round you to 100. So you'd need one additional 10% is what you would need. Yeah. And then we talked about partnerships, guys. I'm just going to go through here. We just ripped through the partnership section. Retro date March 23, but filed November 20th. There was a 9-day delay, breaking year. I have documented PTSD changes. That medical record delay due to PTSD symptoms. Sadly, Jess, they won't care about that. They just care about the break. And then we just come down here, slippery slope, integrity. I'm not doing it for the money. This is the money section. Okay, so we are hurrying. Would submitting 2 Nexus letters, one from my current mental health psych and another from a previous mental health psych, make a difference? I mean, it would weigh in your favor. Okay, now, and that's going to sound really weird, but if both of them say similar things, then that's as long as they're qualified clinicians, right? Like as long as they're a psychiatrist or psychologist, that would be helpful. If they're just like a social worker or a therapist, I mean, it still kind of helps, but it doesn't actually, move the needle to the grant instantly type thing. And then we're just gonna, oh no, oh, Black Rifle Coffee. Oh wow, how did I click on this? Oops. Oh no. Sorry. Wouldn't hurt my feelings. Keep the integrity of the channel. Okay, yep. I like the integrity of the channel myself. That's what I'm going with. Do not go where people that were good educators that either got engaged with others and trying to do so. Okay. I got to find questions in the middle of because this is the part where we were talking about the going with the sponsors thing. So sorry about the rants too, guys. I'm sorry about the rant video. That was kind of, yeah. And I have nothing against that accredited attorney, but I'll just talk about that for a few minutes while I'm trying to find some good questions. I don't know what to say about that, but I don't believe that going to somebody's supervisor does not cause some kind of crazy issues, because it just boggles my mind. It's like, hey, look, I want you to give me my 50% rating, and now I'm going to piss you off. And I'm like, wow, that's bold. I mean, I have to sometimes, like, I'm not going to play. I've had people that have made personal attacks to the point of, calling me everything but, French. And making it personal and just being like, you don't care about veterans, you don't care about anything, like you don't do this, and I get it, right? Veterans frustrated, I get it. And I have to sit there sometimes, and I have to, go, I'm going to take 10 minutes, I'm going to go walk outside, I'm going to go touch grass, and then I'm going to come back, I'm going to clear my head, and I'm going to do this claim, right? You got to do that sometimes, because sometimes, like, and especially with the attorney, like, because it's not like that example that I gave you where the veteran wrote something and they said something, and you've got to just, maybe they said something that was bad, like really, really offensively bad, and you've got to clear your head and go, nope, I've got to be objective. That's different than somebody going to your boss and your boss going, hey man, what's going on? They're saying that, you didn't do this right. And I'm like, saying I didn't do what right? Like, what are you talking about? Because it instantly puts you on the defensive, because your boss is coming to you saying that you did something wrong. And your boss, and guys, I want to take a second here. You know what? Woof. We're we're going into this. Okay. So I'm segueing into a rant real quick, because like the coaches have almost never done the job before. So the person that's over you has no functional understanding of the job that you do the majority of the time. They have no functional understanding. So they're like, hey, look, we have this obligation to respond within 48 hours. They're saying you did something wrong. Did you do something wrong? No, I didn't do anything wrong. What the fa la la are you talking about? And then I've got to prove that I didn't do something wrong to my coach. Right? So then I got to stop what I'm doing. Right? So let's put this into context real quick. I got to stop working your claim, because I've got to satisfy somebody that did a back channel thing to where they want to say I didn't do something, or they want to say that somebody before me didn't do something right. I've had a couple of these to where I'm like, well, I'll take a look at it. That's me like going, hold on just a second. I gotta stop myself for a minute and just go, because it's not like it's a benign thing. Somebody told you that you did something wrong and now you're on your boss's radar. Oh heck no, right? Like that, no way on earth, no way into heaven are you coming at me. Because I'll tell you right now, the majority of the time, the person that brought the heat isn't right. Right? They just want to be able to say, the attorney wants to be able to say, don't worry, I'm doing something. I'm earning my 20%. Well, yeah, they're upsetting the person that's deciding the thing that's going to get them their 20%. Like, and I wasn't playing about that. My examples were true and factual. I more than you know, where some like I've had to have like teachable moments with raiders where they're not under me, they're beside me, and I've got to try to persuade them to do the right thing and not just burn the crap out of everything. They just want to burn it down, either because they believe it's fraudulent, right? Because there's multiple groups here. There are multiple groups. Is you have groups that want to gatekeep for fraud. So everything that's on a private DBQ, unless you have an established relationship with that provider, right? It's fraud. You got that group. Okay. Then you come over here and you got the group of people that don't know what they're doing. So they're on the quality review potential list. They're low quality and they'll do anything to not get an error. And that should be a good thing. But it's not a good thing whenever like they can either rewrite the TERA memo to where they should have never have gotten, get an exam to where, oh, this isn't an error, but ugh, gosh. And then, you got the other ones, which are quality review people who I have in my previous videos, I have spoken ill of the authorizers and how they can sometimes send frivolous things back to the raider, right? Like, hey, I don't know if this is an error or not, but I need you to, I need you to fix this. And I'm like, yeah, why don't you figure out whether or not it's an error, and then you come to me and fix this, or then you can send it back to me. But the quality review team, I cannot like if they were choking to death, I would say not it. I mean, that's how that like I don't know if that level of disdain comes across well. Okay? If me saying that, like if they were choking in front of me, I would say not it. Think about that for a second. Think about how upset you have to be at a demographic of people to say not it when they're choking to death. They get my blood pressure going because I don't know if it's somebody's cousin issue, like if it's nepotism. I don't know how half of them got there. And there's some, like, I'm going to preface this by saying that there are some quality review people who are good. There are some quality review people that, aren't bad. But there are some quality review people that go, okay, well, how long have you been doing the job? Because this person over here has been doing the job longer than you, so I believe them. And I'm like, that is not the way any of this works. How do you even have your job? Can you read? Literally, can you read? And I don't think some of them can, because I get in the last video I gave that I gave that explanation about how fatty liver it literally cannot be a condition that you grant. Can't. There's no circumstance in which fatty liver can be granted. Can't. It's just a physical impossibility. And they're like, no, you got to do it. And then because they didn't want to get an error, well, they had to double down. And that's the problem with the quality review system. And that's why I put out those videos to Doug Collins, is because we have situations where the system is so broken that you have people behaving in such ways. Yes, Henry, I'm going to do a video on diabetes. That you have people doing things for just to satisfy this weird process that the veterans aren't privy to. Like, you guys aren't dialed into the quality review nonsense, where we've got to do these weird things where it's like, hey, look, you didn't send them an 1151. Well, I shouldn't have to, but you had to. Okay, but it has nothing to do with them being granted. Well, we have to send them an 1151 before you take your action. And it's like, why? They were denied for no element two. So unless they pull a STR out of their, fourth point of contact that the military doesn't even have, there's no way that this could change the outcome. Raider VA school. I mean, you know what? You know what? I will come back to this up here, but this right here, Tell me I haven't thought about it. Tell me I haven't actually thought about doing a Raider school. Tell me, like, honest to God, tell me I haven't thought about it. Just doing it and just. But see, I I've been following this one guy on YouTube. I've been following him, and he says some of the like he's almost there, right? He could actually be really good, right? And I don't want to name him because I don't want to call him out, but eh, somebody knows what I'm talking about because they've seen me comment on his channel. But like there's just so much misconception out there. Like I want to start a school to just fight the misconception. I've thought about that. Like, oof, it's something I've thought about. I've thought about just, because how Doug Collins says he wants to make it to where the process for filing a claim is just between, it shouldn't be that hard. It's just you filing a form and then the stuff works out. That is fantasy talk. That is talk by somebody that doesn't understand the process, that has clearly never filed a claim themselves, right? Like, and I just I think that you need a school. I think that you guys need a school that you can go to where you know the information is, hey, this is when we say this, we mean this. The translation, the VA for dummies, but the dummies the VA. Like not you guys, but it's a how to understand the dummies. And that's why I'm doing the channel, but I think it might come down to the fact that maybe I do more than that. Maybe I do a one-on-one thing after I'm done where what, you guys sign up for stuff and we just go through it. Hopefully that's whenever the accreditation happens, but I cuz yeah, I don't know. Anthony. Okay, we're done. We're done with the rants. We're just taking the blood pressure back down. I know I don't sound mad, but people that know me would be like, "Oh, he's fired up." Found another person's info on my DBQ and two conditions. Oh, geez. Received diagnosis in service, but no service connection due to no chronicity. Other person's info was from before I was even born. Yeah, I might do a higher level review on that. Okay. I might do a higher level review on that. And you know how, sorry, I'm going to go back to this. What do you guys think about the thing that Combat Craig did? I mean, God rest his soul, obviously. But you know how Combat Craig had that Combat Craig boot camp thing? Like, what do you guys think about that? Would you like a boot camp for that? I mean, not taking you guys out to pasture or anything like that. Like, not $10,000 later. Like something that's like whatever a reasonable fee is for my time. But like doing something like that. What do you guys think about that? Contract training, maybe. Um, yes, I will take the donations. I appreciate them. I do. I honestly do, guys. Like my kids think that they're like really surprised that people watch and listen and do that kind of stuff. But I'm glad, for all the support because I want to support you guys. I want to make it to where honestly, I don't have a job anymore in terms of like having to do YouTube videos. We've got it out there. We've changed the system. But my thought process was I've stayed in the VA for so long trying to change the system, coming to the realization that the system will not change. So my idea is to help you guys adapt to the messed up system, right? Because the system is messed up. It's not functioning. But some kind of boot camp, yeah, like something like that, like some kind of boot camp thing. I don't know. Like I'm here for you guys. So whatever you guys want, maybe I'll do a vote on it where you guys want a boot camp, Raider boot camp. We'll call it challenge because that's what the training program is for the VA. So we'll just call it challenge. And the challenge is to get through the VA because they suck. Not everybody sucks. I mean, sometimes, like, let's be honest, sometimes you guys don't have the evidence. Sometimes I didn't have the evidence. Sometimes the VSO told me to claim the wrong thing. Sometimes I didn't know any better. Like, sometimes things shouldn't be granted, but I don't know. But sometimes things should be. And I don't know. Just received your insufficient DBQ part 1. Exact same thing happened to me. The only difference was they said that the DBQ and Nexus, but they never contacted my physician who works for the VA. Okay. Okay. So, Jermaine, this is important, Jermaine. I want out of all the things, I know I've been joking around, I've been talking, I've been ranting, but Jermaine, I need you to hear me on something, okay? I need you to go to a VSO. I need you to look in the claim notes. I want you to have them look to where they found that they said in a claim note on or around the time that they, that you got the examiner, okay, or that you got the examination, like before then, during your claim, right? Have them go to the claims tab, have them go to the claims notes chevron, or they can go to the notes claim tab or notes tab in VBMS. And I want them to find where it is that somebody said that they tried to call the examiner. If you can't find that, okay, Jermaine, then you need to do a higher level review and say, look, nicely, right? Because we're all about nicely request for an informal conference with a higher level review and say, look, I went to a VSO and I couldn't find out where they followed the process to deem my private DBQ and my private medical opinion to where they deem that to be insufficient, right? Like they didn't follow the proper steps. Remember, a higher level review is to hold the VBA accountable to not following the VBA's process in the M21. So that might be a good grounds for a higher level review whenever the rater fell within. Okay, calm down. Hey, whether or not the rater followed their own process or the VSR followed their own process in order to, sufficiently evaluate the DBQ and the medical opinion. Wolf on, wolf off. Yeah, that's what it is. My claim was found to have a duty to assist error. I don't know whether to be afraid or relieved. Okay, well, Michael, so here's the issue. If the condition that was found to have a duty to assist error on it, like, because they'll say like, hey, look, your back pain had a duty to assist error or something like that. If it was granted, that might not be a good thing. But if the condition was denied, then that might give you a second opportunity to have a medical opinion, a more favorable medical opinion. Hold on just 1 second. We're going to take a brief interlude for just a second for dog-related stuff. So hold on just a second. All right, I'm back. So yeah. So that, Michael, is what I would think. Thanks for all the great content. I got a partial rating with my mental health claim deferred, but I see now that I have a CMP exam for TBI medical review, but I never filed for TBI. Okay, so this was a reasonably raised issue, Jonathan, because if they show that you could have potentially had a TBI, then them raising the TBI to issue is a good thing. Because you could get the TBI and the mental health, or the mental health and the TBI. Okay. So they would either put them together or they would take them apart, but it has to be to the benefit of the veteran. So this isn't necessarily a bad thing, Jonathan. This is something that where it's reasonably raised. It's a reasonably raised issue that they thought that they could get granted in your favor. The rater's kind of trying to do you a favor. So just keep that in mind. All right. And once again, thank you all for being here tonight. I appreciate it. I was stationed at Camp Lejeune. Fair enough. I have favorable findings of hypertension and diabetes. My TERA memo shows jet fuel only. My claim was denied, but there's more toxic chemicals in the water. Okay. You're gonna make me look it up. Okay, that's fine. Camp Lejeune. Brought to you by Camp Lejeune. So let's see here. When's the Camp Lejeune time period? Yeah, that falls within. Okay. I always have to look it up because I never like for dates and times. I'll be honest with you guys. I have a TBI myself. So dates and times are horrible for me. So I have to always double check them. So complacency, like that staves off complacency. So me looking things up shouldn't worry you. It should put you at ease because that means that I'm not just going to, shoot from the hip and just say, yeah, it's 10. I don't know, or whatever. But I would on this file a new claim and explicitly claim the Camp Lejeune is a TERA. All right, Jackie. Let's go back to the starred things here. Brian. Brian is a constant, I would say a constant commenter and constant backer and always has great things to say. Thank you, Brian. I always appreciate this. Thank you for all that you do, brother. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Please keep private, but receive 100%. Sweet. Oh, I will not keep private. Sorry. Never mind. Sorry about that, Brian. I didn't read it all. It just it popped up. I'm sorry. Keep the rants coming. Rant away. Dog biscuits. Thank you so much. And then we got 2 new members. We got Jeff Snook and Matt. God, I'm sorry, Brian. That's my dog barking at me for being bad. Okay, let me see here. I had to claim that Devil Dog. I had a claim that we believe was put under the incorrect diagnostic code back in 2011 because of this was not rated properly. Was okay. What's the diagnostic code, Devil Dog? Because that's a subjective situation. Okay, so you would have that's typically under the discretion of the rater. It could be potentially a clear and unmistakable error if it's clear and unmistakable. So Devil Dog, okay, how would you prove that that is a clear and unmistakable error? So the way that you would go about proving that is, and I'm going to put on my big rater teaching brain, is you would justify it by saying that the DBQ that was used better supports the like if it could have been neurological or muscular in nature. If the DBQ that was done was muscular and was a muscle DBQ, then it should have been on a muscle diagnostic code. If it was, depending on what bodies, if you're saying it's due to a different body system, the body system that the DBQ that the examiner filled out at the time is going to dictate what diagnostic code was used. So that's how raters and drows think about it, right? Because if the examiner filled it out on this specific DBQ, then medically they thought that was the specific way it should have went. So the rater's going to follow suit with that, and they're going to piggyback on what the examiner said. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry. I apologize. But I do thank you for that. Do gastrointestinal issues not claimed as IBS yes, they can be MUCMIs. So do not tread on us. if you were to go into 38 like just go into Google, right? And you type in 38 CFR 3.317 and you click on it and you go to that section of the 38 CFR part 3, it's part 3 and 3.317. It'll give you this little blurb. And that little blurb will say any kind of gastrointestinal issue and it'll list them all out. Oh, oh gosh. Mark, hold on. Hold on, Mark. I'm coming. I'm coming to the bottom, Mark. Gosh, there's so many questions. Okay, I skipped over a lot, but I gotta talk about this. Okay. So this right here is going to upset you. Okay. This is going to upset a lot of people when it comes to TERA. So what can happen is you can have the VSR fill out a TERA memorandum. Then you can have the rater disagree that they don't see the same TERA in the same and overrule the rater's or the VSR's memorandum. Then you can have it to where let's say that the rater defers it back to have some development done. Well, then you have to understand that every time they fill out the TERA memo for the VSR, it's 0.7 points, and for the rater, it's 0.63 points, or 0.62 points for the rater. So this comes back to production. So if I overrule the VSR, I get 0.63 points or 0.62 points for doing nothing other than just rewriting the memo. Well, then if I defer it back and the VSR gets it or a different VSR gets it and they go, hey, wait, I don't want it. You're like, no, I think it's different. Then they'll override it. I've come into some claims, guys, where there are 7 different memos in there in a 6-month period where the VSR and rater have disagreed, where they've either done it for points or they've done it for spite, right? That's how this can happen. This can happen because leadership above the regional office level haven't put the actual foot down to say, number one, who is authorized to concede in the TERA memo? Is it the VSR? Is it the rater? And I think if the rater, now this is just my personal opinion. Okay, I'm going to give you my personal opinion. This is a little bit of a rant here. The VSR can only decide whether or not exams are warranted. Now, they can also decide whether or not the TERA memo evidence is there. But a rater decides the entirety of the claim. Okay? The rater is responsible for every single facet of the development that happens. If a rater decides, and I'm trying not to be an elitist here. I'm really trying not to. I'm not trying to say that that raters are better than VSRs, other than the fact that they have more responsibility than the VSRs. If a rater says something, a VSR shouldn't be able to come behind them and overrule them. That is insanity. And it's insanity that's perpetrated and incentivized by the fact that you get points for doing it. So you're incentivized with overturning what a rater did 5 minutes ago. So you can have it to where you have a partial rating in which I granted hypertension due to JP8 fuel. Then after I grant it, I defer something back for let's say mental health or something like that. Then you can have it to where within this exact same claim, the VSR overrules it to where the thing that I used to grant, they overrule and say, no, he wasn't exposed to JP8 fuel. Which I don't know if you're following that, but that puts your claim in a little bit of jeopardy because the thing that was actually used to grant you was taken away. How can you do that? And I'm first in line of that line going, how can you do that legitimately, VSR? I mean, if you want to say that the rater didn't do something right, then then we have a clear and unmistakable error on our hands and we need to fix it. Or you need to tell the VSRs to stop doing that. But leadership needs to make that call. And it upsets me. to no end. Because when that happens, newer raters can look at that and go, oh, shoot, that shouldn't have been granted. I'm going to deny it. Or, oh, shoot, that's a clear and unmistakable error. When it might not be. It might just be somebody chasing points, right? And I mean, I've said this in a few comments where it's like, look, the system has some ironing out to do. Okay. Like there are some clear problems with the system, clear and unmistakable problems with the system that need to be hammered out in order for the system to function in a fair and equitable way. Like, I don't know if you guys saw my short today to Doug Collins about, hey, how is it fair to the veteran community that you have 20 claims for sleep apnea secondary to rhinitis and sinusitis? 2 out of the 20 are granted. The other 18 say that it's not physically possible for rhinitis and or sinusitis to be the cause of sleep apnea, yet you have 2 times in which you did it. How is that even logically possible? How are those 18, you know, how are those 18 medical opinions that say it's not physically possible? How are those rationales accurate? Because technically 2 of them said it was physically possible. So the ones that say it's not physically possible can't be possible because we found that it's possible. Does that make sense, guys? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, it doesn't make factual sense to me. I mean, I can understand it if the examiner says that, hey, look, I don't believe that those 2 things are the cause. I think that this other thing is the cause. Fair enough. I mean, that's a perfect rationale. You've provided a medical, you've accounted for everything. You've provided your medical opinion that X is, whatever it is, it's them being fat is the thing that caused it. Fair enough. And you've medically explained it. Fair enough. But the fact that they say it's not medically possible is what I'm taking issue with. It bothers me because, and I think that should be the next court case, to be honest with you. The thing that goes up to the Supreme Court, um, I think that should be the next court case, guys. Because how is it that you, veteran A over here, gets it to be, it's factual, it's within the realm of possibility, right? That rhinitis and sinusitis can cause sleep apnea. It's in the realm of possibility for this veteran, but not you. How is that fair and equitable? How is that a good faith review of your evidence? Somebody says that it's not physically possible, but I'm going to ramble about this forever. But yeah, I need to get away from that, or else it's going to drive me nuts. Can residuals of TBI be claimed after the fact of service connection for PTSD with major depressive disorder from MST? Yes, they can, because Mr. Ray, sometimes there are many facets to mental health, right? There are many comorbidities. There's many different, some symptoms you can't, it's not an all or nothing fire hose, that you can just turn on and off. Like when it comes to like the symptoms, sometimes you can have it to where, yes, you have PTSD and you have MST or MDD due to MST, but maybe not all of the anxiety, not all the depression, and maybe not all the symptoms are part of the MST cause. Maybe some of them are exacerbated by the TBI, and it could become so convoluted that it can't be delineated. But TBI can exacerbate that, right? So it should, it can be claimed. And sometimes, like the rule of thumb in the M21 is that if TBI, if you can separate things out or if you need to combine them together, it needs to be at the benefit of the veteran. So whatever the rater decides to do, if they decide to like rate TBI separately or combine PTSD and MDD with TBI, it has to be to the benefit of the veteran. Now, I'm just going to tell you right now that there are some individuals that they might not like the combining of the TBI under the same umbrella, like have PTSD and MDD combined under the umbrella of TBI, because it detracts from the fact, it can perceivably detract from the fact that the MST was there. I respect that, but I also, if you want to, I mean, that's going to be a personal choice, because they just keep in mind they can combine them under the TBI umbrella for a greater benefit, but just keep that in mind, okay? And then we got new members. So we got Mark Durfee, I guess. Okay. We got Jacob Stamps. Thank you. And then we got Mark again somehow. I don't know how that's possible. We got Kenneth B and we got Kenneth B. I don't know how we got it. I think my system is having a stroke. And then we got No Bad Mojo here. What questions would you ask a VSO to determine they can help successfully file a thorough MUCMI claim? What questions can you watch my video? I hate to say that. I tend not to say watch my video, but I would watch the 38 CFR video and ask them to explain to you the theory of MUCMI and see how well they can explain it to you. Can they explain the requirements that there must be a 6-month chronicity of symptoms? Do they catch that? Can they accurately cite or look up the 38 CFR 3.317 requirements? The fact that there has to be chronicity, the fact that the evidence should manifest after service, right? That the symptoms should manifest after service, that they should be 6 months in length at minimum, that the 6-month in length does not have to be directly consecutive. It can be broken up over time, right? The 6 months of symptoms can be broken up over time. And the fact that they should be asking you, well, do you know if it has a cause, right? Because if they can get you to say that you think that it has a cause, then they should not be directing you to a MUCMI, right? Or if they say, look, if you don't know if there's a cause, just stop right there and don't go looking for one. Just file a MUCMI first, and if they give you a cause, then you try to secondary that or whatever. But yeah. And then I think we're gonna go for another 30 minutes, guys. I'm gonna try to get to as many questions as I can here. John Gould, Raider Warrior training. I mean, that might be a thing. I'm gonna put a poll up. Not too up on polls, but I'm gonna put a poll up and see if that's something that you guys might want to do. If you guys might want to do a Raider Training Academy school thing, I don't know. One-on-ones, I don't know. The system is smelling burnt toast. Okay. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's having a stroke. I've learned how to operate this chat this year. I don't do social media. Me too, for the most part. So I'm kind of, bebopping my way through it too. And yes, guys, we do need more likes. We need to share the message. If you like the content, and you do like it, if you guys like this kind of stuff, let me know. Through the thumbs up. You don't have to donate or anything like that, but just spreading the word, because I'm trying to get the number of subscribers up, because that, I know it's just like pounding your chest to say you have so many subscribers, but it does get the message out. People listen to you more if you have more subscribers. And I don't mean listen to you. I mean they hear the words that you have. Subscribers equal credibility, I guess, is probably a better way to put it. And I want to try to get to the point where I can fight the misinformation, right? I can fight the people that clickbait you, to where I can go, no, that is not true. That is on its face not true. And there's a lot of it out there, guys. Yes, this right here. It does. It helps more than you know. And Mr. Ray, you don't have to donate. Like, look, there's no paywall behind this. Like, I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm not going to hide content behind memberships. I'm not going to hide content behind you have to donate to me. I'm not going to, answer questions just from, I do answer the people that do donate because I feel guilty, but I'm going to try to answer everybody's questions. But I'm not going to hide behind a paywall. So don't ever feel like that. Jermaine, I did go to a VSO and requested that information. I have since filed a higher level review with an informal comment. Yes, there you go. There you go. That's what I'd do. Kent, denied rhinitis, then higher level review, then DTA, then new exam, denied again. Rater failed to tab ST. Okay. They don't need to tab it. Well, actually, hold on. Let me see if I'm trying to get what you're picking up here. Did the VSR fail to tab the STR evidence in the exams, and the exam request itself did not include the STR evidence? If that's the case, then I might cry foul on that. But if you're saying that in the rating narrative they didn't tab the evidence, that's not required on a short form narrative. You could literally on your rating narrative have "I like candy" written in the evidence section, and it wouldn't be a critical error. Yes to which one, Kent? Yes to the first one where they didn't. Actually, let's just do this. Say yes again if the VSR failed to tab the evidence in the exam request. I'm looking at the live chat, so just say yes if that's true. Say no if that's not true. I'm waiting for Kent. This is Kent's hour. Okay. I want to make sure we clear this up for Kent. I like Kent. Kent's good people. You're all good people, I think. Okay. So, Kent, did you go to a VSO and did you have them pull up the exam request? If the answer to that is no, then you don't know what the examiner got to see. Okay, so the VSO said that they didn't give the information to the examiner. If that's the case, then, I would do a 4138. And every time I say 4138, you're supposed to donate, but that's a joke. So the 4138, and just say, hey, look, my VSO said, like nicely, once again, respect, poise, we want to be nice. And say, hey, look, I went to my VSO and my VSO said that the STRs were not tabbed in the exam request. RVSR, could you please double check? Are the claims done? I might do a supplemental claim if that's the case. I might do a new supplemental claim and just put that in as new and relevant evidence that the exam request didn't have the STRs in the exam request. Now, what's the worst that's going to happen? This new supplemental claim will get denied, right, for no new and relevant evidence, at which point in time you can do a higher level review on the new claim, the new one that they deny for no, and then you can get before a DRO again and say, hey, look, they didn't put my evidence in the exam request. That's how I do it. Kent, thank you for the question. Okay, so here's a process issue. Okay, disrobed crown. So anytime a TERA memorandum is completed, the rater has to talk about TERA in the rating decision and discuss it, whether or not it's a favorable finding, discuss all that stuff. If no TERA memorandum is done, then they don't have to discuss the TERA. So that's why sometimes you will get really, really weird things that are in your rating decision. And it blows the veterans' minds typically because they're like, I have a back condition. Now, I for certain know that the back cannot be granted under TERA, right? So why are they talking about TERA? Well, because technically it can be granted. Technically under TERA. You have to medically overcome the insane amount of exception to grant it under TERA, but technically anything can be granted under TERA if you science it hard enough. Like mental health is an exception to TERA, but mental health can be actually like if you were exposed to enough heavy metal poisoning, you could have mental health symptoms due to it. So technically, you could be granted under mental health, overcoming the exception, the exclusion, the exception, whatever you want to call it, and you can be granted for like other specified anxiety disorder, due to heavy metal poisoning. Ooh, chronic pain. Yeah, chronic pain's the same thing. Chronic pain technically has nothing to do with TERA, but because they did the TERA memorandum, procedurally, the rater had to discuss it, even though it has nothing to do with what you're talking about. So that's another one of those. The VA does things to check a box, not to do something at the benefit of the veteran. That's why a lot of higher level reviews and difference of opinions or duty to assist errors are just the VA checking a box. You wouldn't believe how many times that we do a duty to assist. And this comes back to the regional office getting points. The regional offices love it when you guys do higher level reviews that are not fully developed, in my opinion, because they get multiple points for doing it. They get points for, oh, we'll call a duty to assist error. So the higher level review EP30 gets them 1 point. And then whenever they open up the EP040 to take the action to do a TERA memorandum, a TERA medical opinion for something that has a very low probability of being granted, they get another point for that claim. So you filed one claim, they get 2 points. That's how the VA gets to claim, like, we've done 2 million claims this year. Well, yeah, because you make one claim into 3 claims, So yeah, of course you've done 8 billion claims this year. Cool. Air Force girl. I mean, I'm going to scroll back down, way down to the bottom. But they don't want me to talk about, like, they don't want us to talk about this stuff, right? Because it's embarrassing for them. How embarrassing is it to be like, wait a minute, then why did you take all these actions if there wasn't any probability of me getting service connected for it? Why am I even doing this? Oh, so we can check a box. So we don't get an error. That's the motivating factor behind the majority of why anyone does anything in the VA. And I hate that. Like, that's what makes you physically ill. It's a great job, guys. One of the best jobs I've ever had, right? It's a little bit of detective work. You get to advocate for people, but you get out of it what you put into it. If you go in there because you want to be a champion of, like, you think every veteran's just trying to cheat the system, like, there are different people there for different reasons. For me, I loved it. Like, it was very altruistic. Arnold, what does he have to say? Come on, he says, come over here. We're going to go to the gym. Every single RO needs a gym. You need to pump. You need to do weights. Come on. It's too easy. Sorry. But no, I think that, like, you guys deserve, and do you actually, I'm going to start stuttering in a minute if I don't stop myself. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but my 411s and other content creators' information sometimes doesn't match up. And that's why sometimes I get very upset. And sometimes I get sitting here and I'm doing this with you guys, and I'm like, come on, like, who's your daddy? What does he do? Like, and no, sorry. But I sometimes get very upset about, sometimes there are good actors out there, guys. There are some good people. There's some good mannered people. There's some people that are on top of things, right? And I'm a professional and I'm a gentleman. So I don't name specific people. I don't name specific companies. But there are some people out there. There are some companies out there that do not have your interests in mind. You are a dollar sign to them. That's why I'm not taking, and I'm not saying this because anybody that's done a partnership with me is bad or anything like that. If I keep myself pure, then I always have the high ground, right? If this channel doesn't associate with anything else that has to do with any ulterior motives, then I get to keep the high ground. And I get to say, like, it's not a tumor. It's not. No. Why would you say that? It's too easy. But I just I just want to say this, that not every actor out there has your best intentions in mind. I do. I mean, I'd like to think that I do. Obviously, I can't please all the people all the time. I don't know if you ever look at my videos, but there's always like most of them are 99% liked. One person. One person does not like my videos. I think there's an ex-girlfriend out there that has figured out who I am, that is following me around, just not liking my video. But other than that, you can't please all the people all the time. But there are a lot of people out there that they say things and they don't fully understand the consequences of what they say, the ripple effect that happens, the amount of frustration that it generates in the veteran population, right? It's easy for them to get the clicks. It's easy for them to get the money because I'm going to be honest with you. I wasn't aware of how much money is associated with YouTube, and I still don't. Like, it is insane to me that you get money for ads, and like, you get to keep a certain amount of money that people donate and stuff. It's just weird. But there are a lot of people, a lot of companies, a lot of things out there that are making money off telling bad things to people so they're dependent on them, and then they blame the Raider Nation. I actually like that, Damien. Um, they blame the VA if things go sideways. They're like, "Oh yes, we can claim your eyeball due to, asbestos exposure or whatever." And they're like, "Oh yeah, you know what the VA does? They build robots. And those robots come into your house and they get on your computer at night and then they type in stuff and then they make your claim go, they type in evidence that's negative." Like, you wouldn't believe how the bat s crazy stuff I have heard that drives me like, it actually upsets me a little bit about the lies that are coming out of some people's mouths. And I want to fight that, guys. And this right here, Air Force girl, I know I've had you up for quite a while here, but it just makes me sick. And that's why I'm trying to fight this. And the likes and subscribes, guys, I know that, like, there's an ulterior motive to that because the more subscribers you get, the more views you get, and the more views you get, the more money you get. Fair enough. But I've been upfront with you that the ad money is what I'm looking for to compensate for my time. But honest to God, I want to get big enough to where I can fight the misinformation, because sometimes people want you to fail so that way you'll go through them and then they can get your money. And that right there it just makes me ill to no extent. Like, it makes me ill. And I'm going to finish this up here. I'm going to go through a couple more of the donations here, and just so that way I can, I feel guilty all the time. W.E. Wilson, please stop sending money. I mean this. Stop it. Colon endoscopy, blood work, found small ulcers, gastritis, private gastro doc, no diagnosis. I moved just complaints to my VA PCP ongoing. Okay, so a MUCMI has to be medically unexplained. So if they can find, like, ulcers can be explained. Gastritis might not be able to be explained. Gastritis is a something they can't test for type thing, like what's causing it. An ulcer is different. So that's why ulcers have a different code to them. I might stick to the gastritis. The gastritis itself might be able to be a MUCMI. Okay. So let's move on. CH Tim. What is the definition of exacerbations versus incapacitations? Oh, uh, multi-joint arthritis. That's going to be a medical question. It's not a question for the rater. So you have to have a medical doctor cite one or the other. I know that's a non-answer, but let's say you get GED rater in there. Do you want them deciding that or do you want the doctor deciding it? That's why it's been pitched mostly to the doctors. So on the DBQ, there'll be like a spot for them to discuss this. But exacerbations would be, in my mind, like incapacitation, obviously, maybe like a fused joint to some degree, like inability to immobility. I mean, these are the things that come to mind. This is not an absolute, mind you. I would say that the medical doctor would have to qualify this one versus the other. Um, Thank you, Henry, for becoming a new member. I appreciate it. Damien, thank you for first to say it at Raider HQ. We should use the new hashtag Raider Nation. Yeah, I mean, it's got a good ring to it. I mean, it does stroke the ego. Yes, Raider Nation. Yes, yes. It is building. Yes, we are doing this. And then Asterix, thank you for the donation. Always, and guys, on these donations, always appreciated, never required. Okay, I'm gonna show up, even if just one of you show up for my pity party Saturday stuff. I'm gonna answer as many questions as I can, and I'm going to, do the best that I can to answer them. Show up early though, because I can typically get on top of those, but later in the day, I can't get to them. Yeah. And this is the thing where you have to bring science, Jeff, science to the sinusitis and rhinitis. You need science to prove it. Um, because the VA is biased against it. They're looking for OSA only, and they're looking for being fat. Like that's their modus operandi right now. Applied for degenerative disc disease plus other back issues. CMP examiner canceled my appointment due to doctor couldn't make it. I tried to reschedule, but they sent the file back to the VA. That's fine. Whoa, that's not fine. Denied based on 7-year-old rule DBQ higher level review. I would do a higher level review. Yeah, in a heartbeat, Daryl. I would do a higher level review on this. As long as all your rest of your stuff is satisfactory, I would do a higher level review because you could point to this that the duty to assist to reschedule you for an exam was not completed. Yeah. And I would say that the evidence was not sufficient to make a determination. Oh, I want to say Richie Rich so bad. Richie. Hey, Raider, besides someone making a mistake on a 4138 form, what else could cause the VA to review an old service connected condition when I file a new claim? Maybe, potentially an OIG review. If the client condition wasn't static beforehand and it required a routine future exam at some point in time, that could cause them to have to review it. It all depends on what the condition is, the service connected condition. So you'll want to review that. We're at the 15-minute warning, people. 15 minutes until I'm off the air. So you'll want to make sure that you review those things. How you would do that, you would probably go to a VSO and have them look at a code sheet prior to this this claim being filed and see if you had anything that required a future examination. Or it's an OIG report. It could be an old quality review. Sometimes, yeah, Robert, get blanked. That is true. And you know what I want to tell you guys? So I want to spend the last 15 minutes. I know there's a lot of questions left. I am sorry I'm not going to be able to get to them. But I do want to say that I swear more than probably anyone you know. And you would not believe how hard it is to not swear because I want the ad revenue. So, I mean, I have to keep myself in check because I would be like, what the follow law is going on? And, like it is actually helping me to not swear. So this is therapeutic for me to try to be more cognizant, because I know like a lot of you guys listen to me and you probably have kids in the background. So I'm also trying to be cognizant of that and mindful of that. So I just want to say that yes, I do swear. And I am not pure in that respect. And I do apologize, because I think I said pissed, today. And I do apologize for that. But I'm the videos, especially whenever I'm ranting, I've got to keep myself in check. But yeah, other than that, I think for the last 15 minutes here, we're just gonna I'm not gonna answer any questions. I might, which means I will answer questions because I go back on my word on that. But I think that the Raider Nation thing's funny. Like I think it's funny. I think it's true. But I'm gonna keep posting changes to the M21 manual for you guys. Some of these are not the videos coming up are not going to be bangers. Okay. Like some of them aren't. Some of you do not care about the ankle that I'm going to go through. I'm still going to ask you to please watch them if you can. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I'm going to try to put out content that is not behind a paywall, that doesn't require you to do this, and this, because I want you guys to be educated enough to where you can be as educated as a VSR or a Raider. So that way you have the inside track, the inside knowledge on, how this process really works in the real life. I know there's a lot of people out there that say they know how the process works. Some people get close. I will say that there are a couple people out there that get real close. And I will do a TBI video. Yes, Jess, I will do one. I promise. It requires more research from me. Now, something else I was going to talk about today that I saved until the end of the video is I have a friend of mine. He is a voc rehab counselor. And I'm wondering if you guys, trying to encourage him. Yeah, the sausage being made. Yes. Some of us need to know how the sausage is made. But I have a friend of mine who has been a voc rehab counselor for years. And I'm trying to get him into YouTube. Okay. I'm trying to, so that way you guys can ask him questions. So the moment that obviously he's got to feel comfortable enough to do it. But I think voc rehab is one of those things. I don't know that much about it, but I think that there's a void in that community, right? Because a lot of us, I don't know if you've looked around, and this is not a political statement, but times are hard, right? The economy cannot be good for some people. It's maybe good for some people, but it's not good for others. I've noticed that a lot more veterans are becoming disability focused. Like they're wanting to increase their disability claims, right? Because I don't know if you bought coffee lately. That stuff's getting expensive. It's nearly twice as expensive for me buying coffee, and I love coffee. Hence why I would like a sponsorship from a coffee company. No, I'm just joking, but not joking about the price of coffee though. That stuff's getting expensive. But I think that I think my friend, I'm gonna try to encourage him to maybe do some YouTube, and if he feels comfortable with it and he's into it, I might recommend him. So I don't recommend very many people. Like I recommend the Salty Old Marine, just because he has a different channel than I do, but he puts out wholesome, good content. I'm just gonna plug him today. He's not trying to sell anybody anything really. I mean, he did have a recent video that did that, and I kind of went, ugh, okay. But he kind of puts out different content for older veterans, and I appreciate that. But I don't typically plug many people. But if you yeah, just if I plug him, I just say he's got good content, because I mean, anytime I had a question, my buddy would help me out with voc rehab, and yeah, so hold on, I'm just gonna put something up in the background here. I'm just saying, you know, I would I wouldn't mind it. But I have a belief that I'm pro veteran, right? Like I'm a veteran myself. right? I've told you guys that. I'm pro-veteran. I'm pro-veteran businesses. Um, and I would like to be able to give back to a coffee company that is veteran owned because I there's also something to be said about sponsorships where um you don't know what the sponsor does or what the partner does or they could be a bad partner, but I don't think we can screw up coffee, right? Like I don't think that Black Rifle, like so and so coffee company was found to be an international arms dealership or like I don't see that happening. So I don't know. I'm just kind of joke about it, but I do want what's one myth you wish you could debunk? Oh, actually, where's that? Where did that go? My chat has died. Um, hold up. Whoa, what happened to my chat here? Hold on, you guys, just a second. Something's happening here. One myth that I wish I could debunk that higher level reviews are instant win button. Higher level reviews are potentially dangerous. I've said that in my videos. I will stand behind it. They are potentially dangerous. If you go there because you go, oh, I didn't get the right answer, so I'm going to instantly knee jerk submit a higher level review, and that's going to win. Okay. If you win in a higher level review, that's because your evidence got you there. The evidence has to get you there. That's the biggest myth anybody has perpetrated. And a lot of the times it's somebody that could benefit from you going and doing a higher level review, getting a huge back pay. That's somebody that wanted to that wanted to really do that. Like, hey, look, we should do a higher level review. Higher level review is sometimes not the answer, right? If the evidence wasn't true at the time, then you're not going to win a higher level review. But that's one myth that I wish would get just totally steamrolled. The myth that insomnia can be secondary to something is another thing. And somebody will come and say, "Well, it technically can be. It technically can be. It could be secondary to anything." Well, yeah, but what I mean is separately granted. Insomnia cannot be separately granted. Um, neither can vertigo, right? Um, yeah. I wish that people would stop saying that the another myth is that AI screens your claims and you have to say something special to get the AI to do something. No, that is a myth. That is a fallacy. That's not true. Now, there are certain times whenever you don't have a diagnosis and you need to say a symptom, and let's say you say the term condition, you say you have a knee condition. Well, that doesn't satisfy you saying that doesn't satisfy element one. So to get you an exam. So if you don't have a diagnosis of something, you need to say if it's painful, if it's weak, whatever it is, symptom wise. And trust me, if I get anybody, if I would be happy. I would take free coffee. I wouldn't even take money, guys. I'm a coffee connoisseur. I just like good coffee. Um, so if you guys want to advocate for me, that'd be cool. I'm just gonna answer this one for Mr. Ray because Mr. Ray is awesome. Raider HQ after dark. If a buddy had to share his DD214, can he or she leave only the last four of their Sure. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, just for PII sake, yeah, sure. I just want to know that yeah, stuff like that. Yes, live stream on yeah, it does burn calories. Yeah, poking wildlife. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's not bad. I would definitely do it. I'd even put like a banner up on some of my because I can amend these and I can change these. I'd even put a banner up here for it because it has nothing to do with claims, right? Like I don't mind getting money or sponsorship from somebody that doesn't affect claims, right? Because that would be me just sponsoring something that I believe in and not saying, "Hey, look, you should try Jergens body wash." And like, I don't know. It's kind of weird. So coffee to me is benign. So I feel I'm okay with coffee. And yes, I will nudge my friend to start a YouTube channel about VR and E, because I think that a lot, especially in the current economic situation, and I'm not saying this to be political or anything like that, one way or the other. I'm just saying that sometimes our brothers and sisters need help, and we need quality channels. We need quality information. And I think that my buddy, I mean, as good as I am with the claim stuff, my buddy's good with VR and E. So, um, and I just have to say, yeah, yeah. And MCM 649, we had talked offline. Let's plan something. And the reason why I want to talk to you is because I am in the future, probably a year from now, going to try to be an accredited claims agent at some point in time. And I don't know that much about filing claims. I know everything there is to know for the most part, or I can figure it out after something's been claimed. But there is a test associated with that. So I'm just trying to, you know, well, and what's funny though, oh, actually, okay, Marcel. What's funny is they're a raider also right now. Like they went back and forth. Like we went to school together in terms of, and they were a VR and E counselor, and then they went to being a VSR, and then they went to back to VR and E counselor, and then they went back to being a raider. So anyway, guys, we're getting towards that magic time right now. And we'll answer one last. Ashton, if I had TMJ and hearing documented on DA for PEB doc, would they have to send? They would have to send you to a CMP examination. Yes, because of severity. TMJ has to do with the how wide you can open up your mouth, right? Like so yeah, you have to go to a CMP exam for them to measure that kind of stuff. Same thing with hearing. You have to have an audiologist do it. Yeah. But anyway, guys, I'd like to thank you for once again for spending your time with me on this Saturday. 183 of you have decided to take your, precious time out of your day to spend it with me, and I appreciate that. My family appreciates it. I appreciate all the donations. I appreciate you taking the time. Um, and I just wanted to share with you that, yeah, we're going to keep the channel pure except for coffee related sponsorships. Just want to plug that again. And anything that Arnold's, any Arnold related sponsorships too. But yeah, I'm just pro veteran and I'm pro veteran company. So if you guys can shoot anybody my way for that, I would accept that, for on its face. I would pander for coffee. Hearing was denied first go around. Yeah, so much hate. Yep, Damien, I appreciate it. All right, guys. Well, that's about all I got for you tonight. We're going to go ahead and we are going to yeah, I know, 4.83K. I'm going to have a live stream at 5K. And then we'll just go from there, guys. Maybe 10K, we'll have another one, and just a special live stream. And I don't know what this means. Person syndrome. I'll have to look that up if that's actually a thing. All right, Jason, because you said something, type it again, and I can't find it, dude. It's way lost in the sauce up above. Retype your question. I will answer Jason's question, then I will go for the night. Yes. Yes, it is. Jason, give me your question. I'm hanging on. I'm hanging on to you. And then I'm gonna put a poll up tonight. Email address. You want more emails? Ugh. Mary Mates with Arnold. All right. Stiff person syndrome. Okay. Yeah, I've never heard of that. That's weird. Okay. Um, so okay. I'm going to put up a poll though about like the Raider challenge class or something like that, and kind of see if you guys want that. Um, Maybe in the future. It's kind of a boot camp type situation. Think about Combat Craig and how he had a boot camp, maybe something like that. Um, Jason, email me, okay? And I will try to get to you. Also, if you guys are going to email me, put your YouTube name in there also, okay? So I can figure out who the heck I'm talking to. Um, and like and subscribe and share and dance on the channel and do all your stuff. I put it in the chat. I put it in the chat. I typed it in the chat. It's in the chat. It's like 7 above you. DG. Yep. It's in there. So because it's still live, my email will be in the live stream thing. So anyway, guys, that's about all I got for you tonight. Have a good one. Raider out.